once again, I dealt with it in the worst way possible. And so I tried to get us moved, and I think the way I dealt with it, which was by very, very upset outbursts and calling you and being extremely emotional and, yeah, angry and, yeah, pretty much every shitty way I could be emotionally. That's how I was, and not the best way to deal with it. And I wish I dealt with it better, because I know it drove a wedge between us, and it seems like the thing I've done best is drive wedges between people I love. And eventually we got our stuff moved out, and or at least put in storage, and for a while we lived at John Dobbins' house for a month or a month and a half, until we got an apartment. Not the best apartment, pretty much the worst apartment. We had wanted a downstairs, we ended up with an upstairs, which I had gone in, they had said they had a downstairs, but then went in to call you, went back in, and they said, nope, we just leased it. So we had to go for an upstairs, which proved to be disastrous, because everything that could go wrong went wrong in that apartment. Randy was living with us again, at least for the first part, but he moved out, and Jamie and Jesse moved out, and I mean, ultimately none of the kids were staying there, except Elena. And pretty much the whole shitball started rolling when one of Randy's friends that I don't know when he met him, but you and I think I had met him on the house on Milky Way, the slum house. And he seemed pretty cool, but once again he was starting to sort of trigger my alarms. But after everything that had gone down with Dawn in the horrible way that had pretty much turned out, even though he had ended up out of our lives, I had doubts whether I had just been basically projecting fears onto him, and so I acted the opposite way with Adrian, and I just didn't act. And then in 2014, he was arrested with Jesse in his truck, about to do inappropriate things. And apparently it had happened in the middle of the night when no one was aware. She hadn't been living with us, she was living with her grandmother. And he was arrested. And then a few months after that, everything really went to hell. The apartment had a major roach problem, which was exacerbated by everyone else around us fumigating, which drove all the roaches into our apartment. Combined with the fact that the apartment was not getting cleaned regularly and was very quickly becoming messy. Compounded by the fact that we finally started moving, which made the place even messier. And then CPS showed up and basically just took Elena from your arms and went to Randy's mom's, Betty's, and took Emily and Kaylin as well, and left Jamie and Jesse alone because they were at your mom's. So I don't know why they didn't take all of them. None of it really made much sense, but they did what they did. And then we moved again, because that's what we were trying to do, to get out of that crappy apartment We were less than a week away from moving when they took the kids. And we spent the next 15 months, 16 months, however long, from November 2014 till April of 2016 dealing with CPS and, you know, trying to do all their services and then court stuff. It was awful. It was a nightmare. And at this point we were living with my brother because he offered to live with us to help us try and get back on our feet. And then of course all this happened, but he stuck with us. And then in 2015, after almost a year of doing services and trying to get the kids back and complying, they basically screwed us over, said that we hadn't completed our services, despite the fact that the only services that we hadn't completed are the ones that they had caused delays in. We had been all too compliant with everything they asked of us. And the caseworker, LaMonica Qualls, she consistently delayed renewing the counseling paperwork, which pushed that beyond the date of our mediation meeting. And so when we went to mediation, they basically were saying they were going to terminate our rights because we hadn't completed our services, and basically through fear coerced us into signing away Elena to my parents. And they were also, part of that was also to have Kaylin and Emily, who had also been taken, and they were staying with some family friends, the Toverys, Carrie Tovery and Pat Tovery. They were claiming that they would stay with them, that Emily and Kaylin would stay with them, but the Toverys had never actually agreed to any such thing, and CPS was just blowing smoke up our butts. And so that part of the deal fell through, and so CPS had to kind of go back to the drawing board on that front. So that involved another several months. But ultimately, CPS drew up another deal to avoid a full-blown trial, in which they would send Emily and Kaylin off to live with your cousin, I guess Wendy Michelle, and they would let you keep your parental rights. But so yeah, that's how that went down, and that was just awful. And then I think they ended up finally moving out there at the very beginning of June. And so we were going to just try to make the best of what we had left and try to keep going. And then the last shoe fell, and everything finally came all out. And this is kind of the stuff I've been alluding to earlier, in that Jesse had said some things to you that raised certain suspicions, and eventually she confessed to you that I had done inappropriate things with her and her siblings, Jamie and Emily, for a long time. I guess from what she said, it was from 3 to 12, and then you confronted me about it, and I confessed it was true, and also filled in the gaps as far as well, I'm not sure how much I should say on this, but because it is a video and there is stuff about to happen, so. But we talked about it, and then Jesse ended up moving in with Carrie, and about that same time, your cousin Wendy Michelle had gotten Emily to say something as well. And then the whole shitstorm began, and CPS once again got involved, and currently they are building a case to, of course, deal with this situation. And so I don't know when you're watching this, but if I'm not with you right now, it's because of this. And yeah, and so that's what happened. And I hate that I've done all this. I hate that I've put you through this. I hate myself for what I've done. I love the kids, and I love you, and I would do anything I could do, I would, to take it all back and make it right. And I know there's nothing I can do that will. And I stopped messing with them, but damage had already been done. And I just deluded myself for so long. I tricked myself into thinking that no, I wasn't really doing anything wrong. I was just sharing something. Stupidity. Just fooled myself in many ways, and I never threatened them, but I did request that they not say anything, of course, because I knew that obviously if it got out, it would cause a shitstorm. And they didn't do it for my sake. They didn't keep silent for my sake. They kept silent for years because they didn't want to hurt you. They didn't want to, supposedly, I guess, destroy what happiness you had. And that was mostly my reason too. I was scared as well of what would happen if I did say anything. I never felt like I could talk about this, because honestly, who do you tell? Who do you talk to about this kind of thing? People will say, oh, well, you should have gotten help, you should have gotten help. And those people who usually say that have never, ever had to deal with anything like this, so it's really hard to take those people seriously. Yes, I should have gotten help, but how do you talk to someone about this? I don't know. I wish I had. It would have saved a lot of grief. It would have made their lives better had I said something earlier, or before it even started, which it went back to Florida. But it happened, and I tried to make it better. I stopped messing with them, and then after, and even before I stopped, I was trying to make amends, and like I've kind of said before, it was like stopping a moving train. I had to stop deluding myself and just accept that was part of me. That was not a part of me I could just blindly ignore and pretend didn't exist and it would just go away. I had to accept that part of me and just basically tell myself that I couldn't let myself act on it. Basically, I had to control it in a way. I had to accept that I couldn't control my feelings. I just had to control my actions. And once I finally started doing that, at least the abuse stopped. And I did try to make things better. I tried to build a stable house, even as things were falling apart around us due to CPS. I tried tried to kind of hold things together and make the right choices for them. But ultimately the damage was done, and they all had resentments regarding it, and so that's why it all fell apart. And I wish I hadn't hurt y'all. I wish I could take it all back. And I feel terrible for the kids, and I feel bad for you, because out of everyone, you've lost the most. They were hurt the most, but you've lost everyone. You've lost them. And now you're about to lose me. And once again, I would give anything to take it back. Not for my sake, but for yours and for the kids. I would take it all back. I mean, I guess for a little for my sake, because it would be nice to be a whole person and not a fucking hollowed out, gutted shell of guilt and regret, but it is what it is. But knowing that I'm going to leave you alone without the ability to help you or support you is the worst part of all. I don't want you to have to go with this alone. And I want more time to at least help you get on your feet, because I don't know who else is going to do it. I know your mom sure as hell isn't going to do it. She's a selfish bitch who only looks out for herself and will only use you to support herself emotionally and justify all the horrible things that she's let done. Oh yes, she let your dad do all sorts of awful things to you, and then and what he did with you is far more than I ever did with any of the girls. And she turned a blind eye to that, and then once all this came out, she wanted to basically vilify me in your eyes, or try to, and treat it like I was some horrible piece of shit, which, yeah, I am, but coming from her mouth, that doesn't mean a whole lot, considering what she's done and what she's allowed to have done. And I know that if you end up living with her, she's just going to subject you to the same crap, maybe not sexual abuse, but she's going to basically hold you back in every way that she can to emotionally support herself and make herself feel superior. And I don't want you to be in that situation. I want you to be strong. I want you to be self-reliant. I want you to do well. I want you to heal. I want you to succeed. And I hope, against whatever odds there are, that whenever all of this settles, and if I ever get a chance, that we can be together again. And I will hold on to that. And I hope that hope is enough to keep you going, despite all the horrible stuff that has happened. I hope you can find something to cling on to keep going forward. Despite all the shit I've done, despite all the horrible things I've done, the ways I've treated you and the kids, I love you all deeply. I've loved you more than I've loved most people. Y'all are my family, and despite the fact that we're spread like the fucking Starks in Game of Thrones, I would still do anything I can to get us all back together if it was ever possible. But that may take time, a lot of time. But if you're still around when I get out and you're still willing to have me back, then I will be more than willing to pick back up where we left off and continue making a life with you. And I don't know where the kids will be at that time. I know at least half of them will be grown. But we'll see what happens, and let's hope for the best. The world is a crappy place, but it's only through the individual acts of trying to make it better that I think that we can make it at least a little better in the whole. So we've got rough times ahead of us, and if you're probably watching this in one of them right now, and again, I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry I've put you in this situation. And if I could be there right now to hold you and comfort you, I would do that. I would be there and I would stay there. I wouldn't leave your side. And as corny as it sounds, even though I can't be there, know that I am there in spirit. You are on my mind even right now. I'm thinking of you. You are what's getting me through all of this. And know that the first instance I will be trying to find you. And if I can't find you, look for me on Facebook. Look for me. I will try to call you. I'll try to get a hold of you any way I can. But I will try to find you. Just hang in there. Hang in there. I'm sorry. And like I said, I'm hoping for the best. I don't know what's going to happen to me. But if for some reason we end up in a situation where there's no chance of me ever being by your side again, all I ask is that please don't give up. You've got good you can do in this world. As awful as it is, you have done more to make a difference in people's lives than most people I know. And I want you to keep doing that. I think you give strength to people. I think if you keep doing that, I believe that it will eventually come around. And I like to think that because it hasn't been coming back in small doses, I hope it all hits back in a big way, and you have an unexpected bounty of goodness upon your life that makes your life better in every way. I hope that is the case. So I want you to be strong and just know that if there's ever any chance of us being back together again, I'm clinging to it. I'm hoping for it, and if I can, we will be together again someday. And if you choose to move on, that is understandable. I don't want you to be lonely. I love you. I love you with everything that I am. And if I have to be alone for you to be happy, then that is a price I'm willing to pay, because of everything I've done. Gosh, it's not the worst I deserve. I want you to be happy. That is the most important thing. And I hope you'll visit me from time to time. At this point, I don't know where I will be, but I hope you will find me. I hope you will visit, and I hope we'll talk and keep in touch, and I will hope for a better future. You are everything that is good in my life. I don't know what I would have turned out to be if I hadn't met you, or if I hadn't gotten involved with your life. You have opened my eyes to things in so many ways, and it was often a painful transition, a painful journey, because learning and change and truth are often very painful things, and I definitely didn't make it any easier on myself. I was very, very prone to self-delusion, lying to myself, justifying it in the name of going forward and just trying to do things. And I wish I knew then what I knew now. I would have never hurt you so much. The only comfort I get is that everything that happened has at least made the children exist, and I'm glad they exist. And I wouldn't take that back for anything. But I wish things had been better. I love you. Be strong. Don't give up. Go out there, make a difference. Don't let people oppress you. People will try. People will try to manipulate you and control you and make you feel like you deserve this. You do not deserve this. You deserve so much better. You do not deserve any of this horrible stuff. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Anyone that tells you otherwise is serving themselves. They are masturbating. You should go out there, get away from those people that hold you back, and make a better life. You can do it. You are strong. I know you have the strength. You're overwhelmed, I know, but you do have strength. Find the path. Organize your path ahead. Determine, lay out what needs to be done. You can do this. You can do this. You can do this. I believe in you. And yeah, if you're not driving by the point you see this, do it. Learn. I've taught you as much as I can. You're so close, and I know you can do it. Just drive, make money, get on your feet, and make the world a better place. Because if anyone can, you can. I love you, Jenn.